All right, I've gone live on YouTube now. Are you picking it up? Hey, everyone. Oh, thanks for all the likes already on TikTok. I appreciate it. Yeah, sure. I think so. Like I said, I don't. I'm not going to touch the TikTok screen because I always mess it up somehow. Oh, my TV screen's on as well. Let's turn it off so it doesn't echo. I can't see you on YouTube. I can't see your face. Hold on. Let's try add you again. Yeah, I'm adding you on Restream. I'm going to send you the link. Oh, yeah, hold on.
There we go.
There we are. All right, I'm going to hang up the Google. All right, speak to you in a bit.
Speak to you in a bit. Shifting gears.
Yeah, okay.
What is this?
Right, we're here. We're live on YouTube. I think there's a bit of a lag on YouTube, so just keep that in mind. But welcome everyone. Today we've got a really exciting live. We are going to be talking to Stella Yan. So Stella is a lightworker and an expert storyteller. And today we're going to have a discussion about destiny swapping and healing our inner child. So Stella, can you just tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Absolutely. Great to be here. Thank you for having me on your show, Shauna. I've been a big fan of your content, and I'm always admiring people that seek the truth and speak the truth, and you do it in such a creative way. Thank you. You introduced me quite well. Lightworker, storyteller, went through my spiritual awakening a few years ago, and I shifted my whole life. Literally overnight, I was like, I cannot continue my life like this. I quit my job. I didn't have a plan, and I just started receiving messages. I received a big puzzle piece, let's call it, called the New Earth Order. I still don't know what it means, but I've seen it in other psychics kind of downloads as well. So it's something that we're downloading within our consciousness.
Yeah.
I started receiving kind of puzzle pieces as to my life and what has gone wrong. Certain people that haven't been friends, certain connections that have been there to delay me, to distract me, versus to uplift me and support me. And the concept of destiny swapping came into the picture, and I started seeing people from my past in a different light. I also started to understand that there are many industries that are involved in corruption, whether it's destiny swapping, whether it's the conspiracy theories that we call MK Ultra and monarch programming, which are preventing us from truly awakening, preventing us from being in alignment with our higher self, and they're keeping us disconnected from our inner child, the part of us that's excited to create, to connect, to explore. We slowly numb ourselves down because we cannot bear the pain and we don't have the emotional tools to raise ourselves up, which is the emotional intelligence. And that is, I would say, intentionally skipped in society so that we can stay here, which is where we're more easily manipulated into fulfilling someone else's idea for what Earth should look like.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't have put it better myself. So I know you've got a new book, a new venture that you've got coming out, and it really focuses on this idea of destiny swapping. But there's also a massive focus on inner child healing and the personal journey, the hero's journey. So I just wanted to ask you, what inspired you to write a book about healing your inner child? And was there any particular moment or experience that made you realize that this was an important step in your spiritual growth?
I would say the book is here. I only have one version. No one knows me. That's the name. It's
Yeah.
on Kickstarter, and that's a whole conversation itself why I've chosen it as the platform.
Mm-hmm.
The book wasn't planned, simply put. The book that I've been writing for 10 years is a book about how to be happy. It was a book that came to me when I was still in university. And for 10 years, I've been trying to put it together. Even through my spiritual awakening the last few
Yeah.
years, I've been returning back to it and putting a spiritual spin on it to help people access more of their consciousness. And that book just does not want to be published yet. A
Okay.
few months ago, I literally once again I was minding my business and the idea just started coming to me. So I started grounding it chapter by chapter, and the information just came through me.
Mm-hmm.
I would say my inner child and my higher self got together and they directed it. I just channeled it. It really feels like I was the vessel that channeled this book, but it is also the result of my healing because the 12 chapters that are inside here, and I'll read them to you. It's shame, it's guilt, which are the lowest possible states of frequency,
Yeah.
grief, anger, fear, courage, kind of empowering yourself to the
Mm-hmm.
mind, the heart, inner child, higher self, pride and peace, and then the purpose that brings you that plan, that brings you that state of mind where you're ready to conquer any obstacle.
Yeah.
This is all the result of me doing some of the inner child healing myself, some of the shadow work, which
Mm-hmm.
happened even before my spiritual awakening. This was a pivotal time in my journey around the pandemic. I think the pandemic reset a lot of us.
Yes.
And I had a lot of time
Really.
to think to myself and kind of understand that I'm not exactly where I want to be, but I
Mm-hmm.
can do something about it.
Yeah.
I realized that I was so far away from my childhood ambitions, who I wanted to become, the books that I wanted to write. I was so far
Yeah.
away.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly, but surely, my spirit team, my higher self guided me. I bought the tarot, the oracle decks. I listened to the workshops. I joined the conversations. I shifted my surrounding. I started listening to my intuition. So there are some personal stories shared in the book, and there are also some stories that are guided by my experiences with the spiritual world. You
Mm-hmm.
hear me talk about the dragons here, and I would say
Yeah.
the dragons have kind of been working with channeling messages and stories from the dragons the last few months as well. So this is probably the first of many dragon-lit journeys. But hopefully it reaches people when they're ready to look within because they want to live with more meaning. They want to live with more authenticity and ultimately to just free themselves from all the limiting beliefs so they can truly share who they are with the world.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's why we connected so quickly, because a lot of the things that you've described are the things that I have been through in my life, and the things that I talk about, especially taking those lower emotions, the shame, the guilt, the grief, and turning it into courage. And you've got a way of putting it together so eloquently and so well. And I've read a chapter of your book. You've kindly given me a little preview of it, and it just comes across so well. So I've made sure to leave a link in the bio so that you guys can go and check it out for yourselves. And I highly recommend that you support Stella on her Kickstarter, and you go and follow her and check out her content, because it is really, really good.
Thanks, Shauna. This is the first feedback from you because I did send you the chapter, but I
Yeah,
wasn't sure if you read it, so I didn't want
no,
to.
I did. I did read it. It is really good. My courage, my favorite subject, and I believe that courage is the most important emotion that we can have. And I've said on this channel, the most difficult, but the most important thing that we can do as humans is to come out of fear and into courage. And I really enjoyed reading it in your book.
Thank you. I do have a question for you. Speaking of courage,
Yeah.
do you ever get scared
Mm-hmm.
sharing your truth on this channel, on your platforms? Do you ever feel like the resistance is really strong and you
Yeah.
kind of maybe you should stop where you are?
I
And how do you overcome it as well?
feel the resistance for sure. Every time I go on TikTok, especially because TikTok sort of like pushes our videos out to everyone, whereas over in YouTube it's more curated and to people who are actually have an interest in that. And but saying that, I still get pushback from, especially if you say something controversial.
Mm-hmm.
And I question something like organized religion. You get people who hear a snippet of what I say and they don't listen to the entirety of my videos in context, and I get a lot of backlash and pushback, and people telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about, and some awful messages I've gotten from people. But at the same time, I've gotten the opposite as well. I've gotten so much support, and I've gotten people telling me, I've felt like this for ages, but I haven't been able to put it into words, or I've been scared to express it. And that's what I choose to listen to. And I almost sort of like look at the negative feedback as a good thing. So, trolls and all of that stuff, as annoying as they are, it's a good thing, because it's just a sign that you're saying something important.
You're triggering people, but you're still reaching them.
Yeah. Some people need to be triggered. We need to be sort of shocked and woke up to look at things from a different perspective. And I understand that sometimes things need to be rejected a couple of times before it's accepted, and before they can really hear the message that I'm giving, and I'm okay with that. I really
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
The courage to be disliked. That's the book I'm reading.
Exactly. Oh, courage to be disliked. That's the my life has sort of prepared me for that, and what I face on the internet is just nothing compared to the other things.
To the onboarding.
Yeah. The spiritual awakening journey, and once you get through that, you can get through anything.
I think so.
Yeah. So my next question to you is, can you explain to us what it means, in your opinion, to heal the inner child?
Absolutely. Healing the inner child is really becoming your own guardian, becoming your own parent. So you stop looking for validation from your own parents, from your friends, from anyone outside of you. You start to give yourself validation, and you are so present with yourself that when you hear the limiting belief, when you hear a message of judgment or hatred that is towards you, you can shift it right away so that your relationship with yourself is a positive one, and then you can build positive relationships with the people around you. Because if you have a sense of unworthiness, if you feel that you're broken, that's going to translate into your relationships with others. And eventually, even if you're wearing the masks, even if you're applying the coping skills and mechanisms, the facade is going to break down. Your foundation is not going to be strong enough, and you're going to have these interpersonal relationship problems that affect your inner state. So healing the inner child is really rewiring your inner world so that it can be stable, it can be peaceful, and then you can go out and connect with people, co-create with people, and bring this sense of amazement and joy and purpose and meaning and authenticity. Above all, you are not scared to be who you are. You're not scared to share your passion, to explore what you want to do. And that's really your path to reconnecting with your purpose. If you're scared to be who you are, then how are you going to fulfill what you're here to do? The prerequisite is to be who you're meant to be, first of all, and then you can be of service.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of that process of alchemy and turning lead into gold, isn't it? And it's about learning about what that means for us and in our lives in terms of our purpose.
Absolutely. And we've had this chat in an episode that we recorded last year, which was
Yeah.
about uh, the hell and heaven version. And when we
Mhm.
are going through the early life, the early years, we go through childhood being told who we're supposed to be. And
Mhm.
that takes us away from who we truly are.
Yeah.
Then we go into the workplace and we're told this is how we expect you to behave. And I'm not saying that it's bad to have guidelines, but
Mhm.
when you take away people's essence, their individuality, their
Yeah.
authenticity, you cannot have functional human beings. You have, I don't want to say slaves, but you have people that
Yeah.
are not at 100% capacity. You've suppressed them, you've repressed them, you've closed their hearts. They don't
Mhm.
even know how they're feeling. They don't even feel safe in their own bodies.
Yeah.
And that's why we're seeing such a huge epidemic when it comes to depression, when it comes to these coping mechanisms. We're seeing people that are just constantly in front of their screens or doing activities, meaningless activities with people they don't even like because
Yeah.
they're staying away as much as possible from themselves. They've
Yeah.
been taught it's not safe to be with you. It's not safe to be you. That's the biggest lie we've been told.
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. And I want to sort of uh, zoom in on that idea of uh, spending time with people that you don't even like as a way to avoid the self. And I want to
Mhm.
sort of take that theme and bring it into my next question, which is about destiny swapping in our everyday life and toxic relationships. So, first, I want to ask you, what is destiny swapping? Because we spoke about it briefly before, and you had a really good way of illustrating it with. Anyway, I'll let you. I'll let you explain it. I'll let you explain it.
I was thinking about that because I've recorded a couple of videos of it now, and the best way to describe destiny swapping is somebody mimics somebody gets close to you and starts mimicking who you are, and
Hmm.
slowly but surely start to siphon your energy, and they siphon your frequency, and they kind of transfer it to you. So let's say you're a very positive person, you're like you
Hmm.
light up the room, and
Yeah.
then everybody likes a positive person. So you have
Hmm.
someone who's grumpy, somebody who's kind of angry at the world. They're like, do you know what, I like that personality, I like this
Mm.
person, I'm gonna be them. They're
Yeah.
not saying, I want to go and learn how to be happier. They're saying, I want to be them. So they start to come close to you. They start to pretend that they're friends. They start to ask you these questions, or they just give you compliments, a lot of compliments, that love bombing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very traditional for narcissistic relationships because
Hmm.
narcissists don't really know who they are. They're
Hmm.
like, I like this person. That's my next target.
Yeah.
They go and they siphon their energy. They're like, okay, I'm done with this one. I like that one.
Yeah.
That happens in friendships as well, and it's very brutal in the sense that we all want to have friends. It's a social world. We all want to share who we are with people. And when we see somebody who likes us, naturally, we want to open up to them. We want to give them something. If us being of service to them makes them happier, fantastic. We're being of service, we're spreading our joy until they can see that they've got you hooked. That
Hmm.
friendship has been established, that relationship has been established, that partnership, and they slowly start to attack your self-worth. They
Yeah.
start to attack your confidence. They start to trigger you from within because now they know your vulnerabilities.
Hmm.
And now they're slowly taken away from your essence. They know who you are, but they've
Yeah.
made you vulnerable. They are attacking you when you're most vulnerable, and slowly but surely, it's like you can see yourself in them. And you're like, when did this happen?
Yeah.
When did that person
Oh
when
gosh.
did I lose who I was? Right?
Hmm. Exactly.
You can also experience destiny swapping in a household. So let's imagine you were born in a family that wasn't very artistic, and you were artistic.
Yeah.
And you had a sibling who also wasn't artistic. But for
Hmm.
some reason, they liked that sibling more than they liked you because you were more difficult to manipulate as a child. You
Yeah.
had opinions. You
Hmm.
know, artistic
Yeah.
people are
As,
more
as
neurodivergent.
people have
They're operating with,
opinions.
different parts of the brain.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have a neurotypical child, even if they don't have as much talent, you
Hmm.
can program them quite easily. And as a parent, you have a lot of things to worry about. If one of the children is easier to work with,
Yeah.
if they're more narcissistic, meaning they haven't brought balance, they don't have the emotional intelligence, they might transfer some of your skills to that child and start elevating that child, because it's easier to work with them.
Yeah.
Because for the parent that is narcissistic, they also see the world as kind of like scheming. They also see the world, let's partner with this person because it's going to be more convenient for us. They don't see themselves as proper guardians that are
Yeah.
here to empower and uplift children, which is again something that society has completely missed the mark on,
Yeah.
educating the parents how to be guardians and not just, you know, how to be emotionally responsible for their children, how to be emotionally there for their
Yeah.
children, not just to provide the shelter and the food and, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
some
Definitely.
self discipline, but the heart. And
It's
these are just some of the scenarios. Like a destiny swapping, it takes you away from your higher self.
hmm
You start a relationship with a friend, by the end of it, you don't know who you are.
yeah.
The same goes into a romantic relationship. By the end of it, you have lost yourself.
Yeah. Depleted. Yeah.
And this could be applied in a professional field where one of
Mhm.
your colleagues is consistently climbing the ladder and they're borrowing your ideas. They're trying to be more like you when they go into meetings. They're asking you for feedback and then
Yeah.
they give that information as if it's theirs. So it's people seeing who you are
hmm
and saying to themselves, I want that. Even if it destroys them, I want that. I'm gonna get that. Bless you.
uh, no, definitely. And it's something that has been normalized. And we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and you gave a great example of these individuals when it's just you and them one on one.
Mhm.
It's a completely different dynamic to how they act in public, and and it's almost as if they uh, they downplay the relationship that you have together because they don't want anyone to clock on to what they're really doing.
Yeah, and you've just beautiful example. That's one of the differences, I suppose. If you're dealing with a super narcissistic person, behind closed doors, they're going to be abusive more openly with you. So when it's just
Mhm.
the two of you, a narcissistic person eventually is going to show their true colors. They're going to be more abusive, dismissive, judgmental. Whereas if you're out in society, they're going to pretend to be the perfect person so that you are the perfect couple. Whereas when you have somebody who's manipulating you out of jealousy, out of, wanting something from you so that it can be theirs, that destiny swap conditioning,
Yeah.
they are the sweetest person in front of you. They're asking these questions, they're sharing, they're like playing the role, and it's a
Mm.
facade. And then you go out with friends and they're like almost like
Yeah.
ignoring you. Like,
Yeah. Exactly. I don't know you. We're not that close.
we're not
Yeah.
that close.
It's
Yeah.
not like
I don't
that.
know why she
Yeah.
keeps trying to come and stay
Yeah,
with us.
he's crazy. I don't know why. Yeah, or
Yeah.
they're crazy. He's
And it's
crazy.
very confusing once you're in it.
Yeah,
I've
yeah. If you don't, if you
kind of been in it, but it's really confusing to you and you start to question your self-worth.
yeah,
Yeah, it's bizarre. I don't know why people do it. I genuinely don't know why people do
no,
it.
you,
We're all amazing, beautiful human beings with so many skills and so many talents. And I know that doing the inner work is a little bit scary sometimes, but
mhm.
I promise you there's nothing scary you're going to find inside.
Yeah, yeah. I think people act that way because they know that if they do that inner work, then they're going to have to face the fact that they are the problem and they are the bully and they are the abuser in the relationship. So that's why those personality types avoid things like therapy and working on themselves in that way.
Mhm.
It will break the facade that
Mirrors. Yeah.
they've worked so hard on.
Also, they're going to have to acknowledge that there have been people in their family, in their community that are well respected that
Yeah,
not really the
yeah,
people that,
definitely.
yeah,
And then
the persona. Yeah.
that will again uh, aggravate their egos, which
Yeah.
they can't.
There's a lot of destruction that happens internally. Like whatever you've built, it's false. Eventually, it's going to collapse. So
Yeah, eventually. And
it's better to collapse early on in your life so that you
mhm,
can rebuild a stronger foundation. And you can plan wherever you want in your garden if you want to
yeah,
think of your
it's
inner world
true.
as a garden.
It's true. And the the danger of not doing it is that those emotions will come out in negative ways, and I believe that they sort of come out in later life as illnesses and
Yeah.
dependence problems and things like that. So it's just so important that we put our egos aside, even if all of us feel like that a little bit. We don't want to confront that nastier sides of ourselves, but it's so important that we have the courage to do that, because um, it's almost like chemotherapy. The cancer patient doesn't do chemotherapy because it feels good. They do it because they know in the long term
Avoid, yeah, the
they're
bigger
going
damage.
to be healed. And it's the same with any healing journey.
Yeah, because if you think about it, the chemotherapy, it destroys the sick cells.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying that there aren't alternative treatments, but you're
Mhm.
doing that to yourself when you're doing the inner examination. You're removing the false beliefs, the
Yeah,
things that
yeah,
are
as painful as it
corrupting
is.
your own soil that's supposed to be abundant.
Mhm,
You're right. I think it manifests into illnesses when
mhm.
people start to self-hurt,
Yeah,
self-harm,
yeah,
but they can also start harming others and hurt others,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is the
That's
outward expression of
what
that
we want,
pain. Mhm.
for sure. So, next question. What are some red flags, like some specific things that we need to look out for when someone might be trying to hijack our destiny, or to do this to us?
I will be very careful with people that are admiring you. People that
Mm,
are really obsessive, people that love you, they would use these words. They would literally say, I am obsessed with you.
yeah.
They would say, I want to be you. Like they cannot help themselves when a person is enamored with you in a negative way because they
Mhm,
want to be you, they want to steal your essence. At some point,
yeah.
their spirit is going to start dropping these words, these sentences. So
Mhm,
hear them, acknowledge what is being said.
yeah.
One of the most shocking experiences upon my spiritual awakening,
Mhm,
and that wasn't even like the full blown burnout mode. I
yeah.
was living with someone who kind of switched mid conversation while we were talking, and she started not necessarily chanting things to me, but they were like almost
I get it.
these dead spells, but spoken in my face. Like imagine the audacity, imagine
Yeah.
the corruption on a mental level. And I knew she had a lot of admiration for me, this
Mhm,
person, but I did not anticipate that she would turn to me and kind of wish me to disappear from Earth. And then
yeah.
she continued cooking as if
Wow.
nothing has happened. When people are so obsessed with you, they cannot see you for who you are. They see
Yeah.
you for someone that's going to give them some bonus points in society
Mhm,
for status. Or they're going to, oh, yeah, they're going to see me with this person. She's very stylish. They're going to see me with this person. He's very smart. People associate the value that you bring to their life. And they think if I'm friends with that person, that means I can be what this person brings to society by definition, by um, being in their proximity.
yeah, yeah. Almost
But
like
you
they
don't
can get it by
establish.
osmosis.
I think in
Yeah.
some ways it's true though. Like they
Yeah.
can, because you are allowing someone in your energetic field, you
Mhm.
are actually giving them who you are. I think
Yeah,
this
that's true. Yeah.
this is one of the biggest, ironies is just by being in the proximity of someone, you rub off their charm,
Oh,
their
yeah.
beauty, their intelligence. You
Mhm.
do get some of that, which is why it's so important to keep your boundaries very strong. It's important to understand who you are, where you begin and end, so that people, when they start to get enmeshed with you, you're like, no, 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 this is you, you end there, this is me. We can co-create, we can meet and exchange, but we are not the same person.
Yeah.
The codependency, that's a big red flag.
Mhm.
Anyone above the age of 20
Yeah.
trying to be codependent with you, that's a red flag. And by
Yeah.
codependent, I mean the constant messaging, the constant validation, them
Mhm.
constantly asking you all these questions, wanting to know how you do things, why you do things, when you're going. It's too much. We
Yeah,
need to be independent. And I
definitely.
think when people start to get enmeshed because they're scared or because they feel inadequate, insecure, immature, whatever it is,
Mhm.
it starts to take away from your potential, from your life force, from your energy. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that I was so much into environments like that, I lost my access to my higher self. There was
Yeah.
silence, nothing. Like from
Same.
receiving ideas
Can't hear
every
it.
single day, nothing. And it
Mhm.
took me 5 years to get back to the point where I can hear the divine.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know I was lost. I knew something was missing. I didn't even know. I was so deep into the darkness, into the void.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I didn't spend time, this would not have been possible. And I think all of us are able to ground ideas like this. I
Yeah.
grounded my business like that through my relationship with my higher self, which is why I think it's so important to teach people healthy relationships.
Yeah.
Destiny swapping, it's very much linked to codependency. It's linked to toxic relationships.
Definitely. There's a lot of things that you're saying that I've been through and that I noticed. We've been on a really similar journey. And you said something about understanding where you end and the other
Mhm.
person begins. And a sign that I started to realize that I was around the wrong people was how I was looking physically. So I was just, I wasn't doing anything different. I wasn't eating anything
Mhm.
different. I wasn't going to the gym different or anything like that. But my body almost rejected them,
Yeah.
and it was changing physically. And when I look back at it, it was trying to put distance between me and them. So that's something that I definitely agree with, and that I've noticed, and it's
Mm.
something that we all need to look out for.
Also, if you start living your life within constraints that weren't yours, like for example, you start comparing yourself to somebody else's body, to use your example, or you start to
Yeah,
think, well, how should I dress to? It's almost like these people come into your life in order for them to project so much onto you that you start comparing yourself to them and measuring
yeah.
up to them.
You
And
start
yeah,
carrying it.
it can be really weird while you're in it because you're so vulnerable as well. Like
Yeah,
you just need someone to give you a hug, give you a handshake, give you something, like give you like some of that energy. But because it's a one way, you're the one always giving. They're just
yeah,
taking.
yeah.
At some point, you realize, oh, I cannot rely to this person because we never agreed to have
No,
a mutual. Like the
no.
agreement wasn't that, even though I signed it energetically. But
Yeah,
yeah, I was trying.
and then you have to separate, and
Yeah.
gosh, and then that's a whole other thing.
One more thing to mention, which is quite a weird thing that I've been noticing a little bit more, is because we have a lot of tarot oracle readers on TikTok, on YouTube. Like it's upcoming. There's more and more people that are
Yeah,
doing
becoming
readings.
popular. Yeah,
And I would say this has always been happening in the last 50 years. I feel like I've seen a lot of like generational readers, let's say. They've
hmm
preserved that tradition, but now I feel like there are newcomers that are like,
yeah,
oh, I can do that too. Or they feel called, they feel awakened to do it.
yeah.
Some people might use your photo to go and get a reading on you. And
Okay.
if the person is corrupted, they'll give them some information,
Yeah,
even though that's not allowed. And sometimes the divine would also reveal information to the reader saying, okay, this is what you're allowed to say.
yeah,
And the reader will listen. If they're a true, a true reader who's
yeah,
connected to the divine, they'll understand the consequences, as in they'll understand that this is not right, but they're being given the order. Okay, now
yeah,
you say that, whatever, because that's how karma is being delivered. Because I've had
yeah,
people that have come into my life, and I still do.
yeah,
They come and say certain sentences or drop certain words that I've already seen in my own mind. Therefore,
mhm,
I know that they're trying to trick me into believing that that's what they'll become, even though
yeah,
I've already seen it
yeah.
from, yeah.
That's your speciality, though. You're really intuitive in that way, and you're amazing at the cards and and stuff like that. And that's sort of not my expertise, but I know that people who have that sort of energy that people want to take from them, I know that they're always incredibly protected, and one way or another, like you said, karma will step in, whether it's through uh, the intuition
Mhm.
of the healer, or sometimes in the most random ways, and eventually that person will get what they will reap, what they've sowed.
Yeah, and I think this has been a theme in my life where people have gone to psychics from when I was a child
Yeah.
to discover more about me.
Oh
I,
wow.
I feel like people have been very curious about who I am because I have a very
Yeah.
unique energy, and It's almost like they've done things, they haven't necessarily communicated that to me, but they've looked at me differently afterwards.
Yeah.
It's a strange world.
Yeah.
The more you
No,
learn about these things, the more
no,
you
it's
realize,
strange, but
yeah,
the more we speak about it, the more
we
we
normalize, yeah,
realize that it's
having
not
this.
so weird, because that's something that I've experienced in my life as well. Like, people just have a weird obsession with me, and I'm not doing anything different
Mhm.
from anyone else. I don't tell them that I have this side of myself. You know, they could just be like a work colleague or something like that, but
Yeah,
they pick up on something.
it's your spirit.
You're watching this and you relate to it as well. These people will pick up on something that you have, and they will become obsessed with it. And
Mhm.
the root of it is all because those individuals refuse to do that work on themselves, and
Yeah.
to look at the inner child, and so on.
Yeah, inner child, higher self. And I do think there are some people that they're spiritually kind of manipulated,
Hmm.
and they would
Yeah, they can.
a little bit like the Matrix. They would just get activated and turn against you. Say something to trigger, and they'll be like, "I don't even know why I said that. I'm sorry. It
Yeah,
felt like it wasn't you, and it
yeah,
really isn't.
I've had that,
It's
and
not
I
them."
can see
Yeah.
the regret in their
Mhm.
eyes later on. But I have to sort of put up that boundary and say no, because sometimes entities will very much
Exactly.
use
Mhm.
bodies that are close to you to try and
Yeah.
destroy the spirit.
And by the way, just because we are awakened, just because we have activated certain gifts and we are aware of certain things, doesn't mean that these entities are not around us as well.
Yeah,
'Cause I would feel certain pressures. I would feel sadness and anger, which are the two most common kind of spiritual attacks that I've experienced, where I would
yeah,
just be like down on my desk, like fighting. And I'll be like,
yeah,
I understand this isn't me. This
mhm,
this too shall pass. And then I wait for the storm to continue.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think my younger self would get really depressed
Extremely
for many
confusing.
months.
Yeah,
From months, we went to weeks, we went to days, to
hmm,
hours, because
yeah,
most of us, we've been on this journey since we were
yeah,
children.
yeah,
We've had this resistance. We've had people that tried to be our friends because they just wanted something. They wanted to delay us, block us,
mhm,
whatever it is. It hasn't, they haven't succeeded. We're still on this path. And
yeah,
thank you for acknowledging my tarot reading skills. I just want to mention that this was not something I had with me my whole life.
mhm,
This was something that was activated 2 years ago.
yeah,
And just in a matter of months, I grounded a part of me that already knew this.
yeah,
That's the beauty of this journey. This is how much I've been disconnected with myself my whole life. And I
yeah.
don't know if this was the plan, that I had to spend the first 30 years of my life disconnected, or something got disrupted. I'm not quite
Yeah,
sure, but I know now that I'm grounding more of me every single day. And I know that now I know how to protect that.
yeah,
Even though we're protected, I know how to protect my inner child.
yeah, yeah. We're sort of like taking more responsibility for ourselves, and it comes really natural to you. So it's really great to see. So the next section that I sort of want to go into, and you mentioned it a little bit before, is the idea that we live in a simulation. So
Big matrix.
yeah, a big matrix, and that is the theme of my content. And I talk a lot about something called the simulation theory. So the simulation theory basically suggests that our reality is a really complex mathematical illusion. And what I wanted to ask you is, do you think that our traumas and our wounds that we pick up throughout childhood and so on are part of a code that sort of keep us stuck and keep us on a path that serves uh, this matrix, what people call the matrix?
It's a little bit like when you get your phone and you can only access few apps on that phone until you jailbreak it, right?
Mm.
To use the terms of the millennials, to jailbreak your phone, even though nobody does that anymore.
Oh yeah, I
That's a
remember
little
that.
bit like what we're here. to experience before we get to the point of the awakening. Some
Hmm.
of us get awakened when we're quite young, some of us get awakened when we're 50, 60, when the time comes. Some of us have an appointed time to get awakened, and that specific time, it cannot be stopped, it cannot be avoided. You're going to start feeling like you want to withdraw from society, you want to let go of your old life. That's usually the transitional point where you're ready to awaken and you've chosen yourself.
Yeah.
For those that are asleep, maybe they've chosen that they just want to be part of this simulation and
Yeah.
experience the earthly joys. The way that I see it, it's like Free Guy. You're in this game
Yeah.
and we're all wearing the same meat suits.
Hmm.
However, we all have different consciousness. And it's very interesting that once I grounded that idea, I can almost see people from a different perspective. I can almost see people with different races when it comes to their consciousness,
Yeah.
different levels. I can almost see people that are acting like animals, like even the way they
Yeah.
stand. It's
Yeah.
almost like
Exactly. Yeah.
animals trying to be humans. It's a little bit like the fairy tales, when
Yeah. Like
the
pack
witch,
mentality. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. For sure.
not even that. It's almost like when you get a pumpkin and that's like the chariot,
Yeah.
and then you get two I don't know what the fairy tale was, but you get two bunnies, let's say, and they become
Oh yeah. I don't mean.
assistants, something like that.
Yeah.
It's almost like I can see people now with the consciousness that can be compared to a consciousness of something of a lower frequency, and that is their limit. They
Yeah.
cannot rise above
That's
it.
just that. Yeah.
I can
For
see
sure.
some people that are extraordinary, like star seeds.
Hmm.
They have gone through so much trauma. In
Yeah.
order for that trauma to block them from channeling their ideas, I'm
Yeah.
talking about people that have the purpose, perhaps the calling and the potential that leaders like Elon Musk have, that
Yeah.
have these, they are messengers, they are the vessels to deliver these ideas, but
Hmm.
because they've gone through so much trauma, they don't they don't stand the chance breaking through that to
Yeah. Yeah.
channel it, establish it.
Definitely.
So
I've seen that.
the trauma is here on design, by design.
Hmm.
And the more we heal from that trauma, the more we realize that the trauma isn't even real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our consciousness does not get attached to our body beyond this lifetime. And our consciousness, there are many people that are remembering past lifetimes, meaning they've already been here, they've already done this journey, they already know that there are going to be obstacles, and then they come back because they want to experience other things, they want to do more research with their consciousness, which means if this is a structure that is happening mathematically,
Mhm.
that scientifically we cannot explain, the birth canal is how we get birthed into it, how we get truly connected to a body,
Yeah.
and then we go back. Where
Yeah.
do we go back? I have no idea.
I know that's all up for debate, isn't it? For
Yeah.
sure. So, we're sticking with this idea of destiny swapping. How do you think that can sort of interact with the idea of the simulation theory? So, a lot of my content is about simulation theory and the bigger things. How can more sort of personal experiences that we go through, uh, sort of how can they sort of go hand in hand, and uh,
Mhm.
is there a connection between them both?
There is. I got a message again during this big awakening last year that essentially there were many people that awakened a few generations ago and they decided to gatekeep that information. They
Mm,
ascended, they saw the visions, they reconnected with different entities, let's call
mhm.
it, because when we awaken spiritually we can connect to many different energies.
Yeah.
Some of them have good intentions, some of them have bad intentions, and maybe they're just angry spirits. They're angry people that sometimes pass away before they've completed what they were here to do, and they're still angry.
Hmm.
The point is, even now that we're talking, we can connect to all kinds of energies. And if
Yeah.
our heart is corrupted, we're going to relate more to the angry spirits, to those that want to destroy it, to the
Yeah.
agents of chaos, as I like to
Yeah.
call them.
Agent Smiths from the Matrix. Yeah.
Pretty much. But I
Yeah.
would say these agents of chaos, they're very ancient. Uh,
Hmm.
some of them are wise, some of them are very primitive.
Yeah.
And one of the messages that I got was, we have these secret societies and they have all these secrets,
Yeah. Yeah.
all the knowledge and all the power, which there is some truth in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. For
Let's,
sure.
I would say they made some mistakes trying to suppress our awakening over the generations. And
Yeah.
they made some mistakes trying to control some of the key industries like education,
Yeah.
healthcare, the food industry. They've made too many mistakes for it not to be obvious at this point that
Yeah.
everything that we're going through is designed to kill us, not support us, not uplift us,
Mhm.
not get us to stay here longer. We're eating trash, we're studying trash,
Yeah.
even working trash. Like there are some
Yeah.
jobs that make no sense.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
Tell
just
me about it.
brainwashing.
That's a whole nother
That's a whole other episode.
conversation, but 100%.
However, the break of the message that came through was pretty much that these people were enlightened once upon a time.
Yeah.
But because they got corrupted over the years, or perhaps they did not understand the agreement that they signed, they actually agreed to work with entities that are quite dark, quite
Yeah.
primitive, and they just want to destroy. And the idea of this is that there is a portal that's open that's allowing this nasty dark energy to enter Earth and to
Mhm.
corrupt people, to play with our fields in a way that most people don't know what's happening with them. They go into depression, they go into very nasty modes where they just want to destroy. They get super angry. And if you don't have any emotional intelligence, if you are really like suffering the trauma of your life, when that energy comes into you, you don't know how to handle it. It just overthrows your own condition, your own kind of sovereignty.
Yeah.
So there is a type of black hole that's been opened that's allowing these entities to come. And because of the brainwashing, a lot of people are aging backwards. So, or rather, they're not aging at all. They're not
Mhm.
maturing. They're just
Yeah.
remaining children and
Yeah.
they don't know how to ascend. They don't even know that their inner child is trapped in them. They're
Yeah.
adults walking around with the consciousness of a 5-year-old. And I
Mhm.
read somewhere yesterday, or I saw a video, I'm not quite sure, but the woman said where your trauma was when you were a child, let's say you experienced some trauma when you were 7,
Mhm.
but you didn't have a parent to help you carry that trauma, to be the guardian.
Yeah.
So in that situation, you became the parent. But because
Yeah.
you haven't done the work to get there, you're still here, even though you've created the coping mechanism.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now imagine you didn't have anyone for many years.
Mhm.
Your consciousness is still here. You're
Yeah.
still trapped here, even though you've had to be the big, put the big pants at
Mhm.
work, be the manager, take care of this, take care of that. Your
Mhm.
consciousness is still here. And then people are like, well, why is he behaving like that? Why is that person cheating on their husband or their wife? Why did they abandon their family and go somewhere else?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
goes back to the inner child. It goes back to that moment of the growth being blocked. So yeah, I'd say there's a the Hollywood industry in particular has been very crucial for this. And one big example that's coming to mind is Jennifer Lopez, and I've used that in some of my
Yeah.
videos.
Yeah. I've heard you say that before.
She has sampled songs from people to the point where she has literally taken the song from somebody else singing and she's pretended that it's her song.
Yeah.
That is the type of destiny swap that is benefiting society
Yeah.
as it is, because those on top, they can continue to remain in control of whole industries. They're like, we're going to buy that person's voice. We're going to buy that person's talent. We're not going to allow them in here because in here, we're only allowing the people we can control.
Yeah.
That's essentially the purpose of Destiny Swap. And I've seen that in education where they have this special, the gifted kids programs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they recognize who has the talent from
Yeah.
when they're in school. Then they track these people when they're in university. They even track them when they are
Excuse me.
in the workplace.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this
When
is
they leave.
reminding me that one of the breakthroughs I had for destiny swapping is that you might have handlers, as
Yeah.
in, the handlers that are in the movies. A handler
Yeah.
that's like a spiritual handler, someone
Mhm.
assigned to watch your progress.
Yeah.
And I've had handlers like that. I've had people that I don't even remember. I'm missing moments of the conversation with them without any alcohol, without anything. It's like they knew a keyword to say to me to disable me so that then they can extract information, put it, I don't know.
Yeah. I know, definitely, and cause chaos. And like you said, it happens on the personal level where we're forced to give up our time to some some company, and then it happens over in Hollywood, and everyone can see the downfall of Hollywood
Yes.
at the moment, as all of these ideas are starting to fall away, where they buy someone's talent and they put another face on it, and they exploit it in that way. And these themes are mirrored everywhere, and it's up to us to almost take the emotion out of it, and look at it as symbols, and try and recognize the similarities between these different things, and from there we can work out what they're trying to teach us, rather than just looking into the world and, oh, the news, and this rapper's done this, and this person has abused that person. We can very easily get caught up in the emotion and of the corruption that happens around us. But if we focus in on it, and we see all the different places it can show up, we can start to understand it, and sort of twist the world to work in our favor, rather than being a victim of it.
Absolutely. And one of the things to mention is when we come back to self, when we connect with our inner child, with our higher self above all, we start to realize that these are generational things. You start to see
Yeah.
the ancestors who came before you. You start to see the world as a big battlefield where you have different types of consciousness that have fought to preserve control. And I'm talking about reptilian consciousness, which is probably one of the early ones. The
Yeah, that's what
Anunnakis
I think
were
about.
quite early on.
Yeah.
They're still here energetically, and they probably have messengers here, like followers of that. They're still connecting to that energy. They're trying to bring back, like, I don't know if you watched the movie The Mummy, where they're these crazy followers of these Egyptian gods, and they're trying to bring them back. Like, we have those right now, and they are worshippers of old, rulers. We have many of the Atlanteans, and this is something that I've been called to do some videos about, but I haven't just yet.
Yeah, no, go for it. I love that stuff.
We have a lot of Atlanteans, or people with Atlantean consciousness in Hollywood. These are people that are creating fan clubs around them. That's how you're going to recognize Atlanteans.
Yeah.
They're very charismatic, but you have to worship one person, them. It's about them. They lead, but it's about them. Then you have the Lemurians, which create opportunities to uplift other people. There are some people in Hollywood that are also Lemurians, but it's very, very rare. You mostly see them in kind of isolated spiritual communities. But you have to think about Earth as who's gonna win kind of the dominance when it comes to the majority. And those that are awakening right now, there's almost like a bid for you. Oh, come join us. Come be part of the Atlantean Club. Come be part of the Lemurian Club.
Oh, yeah.
Because we can offer you some fame here. Yeah. And those that have some ego in them, that spiritual ego hasn't been overturned, they're going to be attracted to the money and the power, but they're going to stop connecting here because they're going to have that one person to worship, or they're going to have the same cult for them.
Yeah.
Which ultimately doesn't change the status quo.
No, definitely. And there's so much I could say about that, but we see that happening at the moment. I don't know if you've seen at the beginning of the year with Cat Williams, and he spoke about the downfall of celebrity, and that's going to happen in Hollywood, and all of these stars. And every day when I turn on the news, I'm getting messages about these old entertainment systems falling apart.
I would say the celebrity, I suppose you can call him a celebrity that knows the most about what we're talking about, the darkness, these dark agendas. I'd say that's Alex Jones.
Okay.
Surprisingly, of all the people, that's the person that I've heard describe the spiritual side, the consciousness, in such a concise way, where he was explaining the black hole, he was explaining these dark entities, and he was saying that they're losing control, like the people on Earth are losing control because they don't know what they are up against.
Yeah.
You have to be really strong spiritually to fight against some of the most evil on Earth, and there is real evil on Earth.
Yeah.
I have goosebumps even talking about that, because it's not Sam Smith dressing as the devil. That's
all of that nonsense.
Real evil exists among us, the humans.
Yeah, for sure. And I, on my channel, I use the metaphor of the archons, and archon is a word that means the dark rulers, and I talk a lot about those people who just cause chaos from the shadows. But
Yeah.
the more we talk about them, the less power they have, because their influence only um, is relevant if we're ignorant to it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think so.
yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that we can have conversations like this, and this is not a rare conversation, I would say. By now,
No,
there are
not
many
right.
conversations like this.
Yeah.
Means that we have the protection for us to have these conversations. They're scary at first. It takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, it's hard.
No one's gonna knock on your door and say, "Stop
It
recording
is
that."
hard to talk
Yeah.
about these things. Yeah, but the more conversations we have, the easier it becomes, for sure. So I wanted to ask you, have you got any practical advice for listeners who are awake to everything that's going on, and who can see the world for what it is, but they sort of don't know where to begin in this process of understanding the darkness and learning how to alchemize it, or healing the self and the inner child? Have you got any sort of like tips or baby steps to
Baby
help?
steps, journal. Start journaling.
Hmm.
If you're having difficulty just meditating, start
Yeah,
journaling and keep turning for help to your spirit team. Literally just say out to the universe, I
yeah,
need help. Guide me, show me the way, show me a sign. I trust you. Like if you're struggling to hear, like your clairaudience is not activated, if you don't see things like clairvoyance, ask every single day, give gratitude, because that is you reestablishing that connection with your own higher self, I would say.
yeah,
Start journaling, start acknowledging where you have traumas, start acknowledging where you need people, where you outsourcing the work to other people, where you need
mhm,
to call your best friend when something happens. Like, take a moment, slow down, think about why you're rushing to share something, to ask for feedback or for advice, or just to complain. Can it be
yeah,
transformed before you complain? What is
mhm,
this trying to teach you? Try to become as independent as possible so that when you meet with people, you're not offloading or accepting whatever they're, have been carrying with, oh, I can't wait to give that to you. No, no, no. You go on to meeting with somebody and you're grounded into who you are so that you can have that heart to heart connection, soul to soul connection, especially if you feel like you have people that you cannot trust,
yeah,
manipulative people, jealous people, insecure people, immature people. Take a step back
mhm,
and think about why you've attracted them, because they're showing you an aspect of you.
yeah,
Maybe you were immature at some point, maybe you were insecure. Again, it's not your fault. You've
mhm,
experienced some trauma, you've experienced something that's brought you to this state. How can
mhm,
you elevate your state of consciousness? It's you wanting to be of service, it's you wanting to
yeah,
have a bigger impact, to be a positive change maker that creates this ripple effect into your life, and you'll be given the guidance. Like, you're
yeah,
protected, but you'll be given the guidance. And maybe you're disconnected with your intuition for the time being, but every single day you're going to be like, oh, maybe I need to go to this shop, I feel like I need to go to this shop. Then you go into the shop, maybe you don't find anything, but maybe that saved you from running into your ex outside.
yeah. You never
You don't
know.
know.
Yeah,
Trust those nudges. Like, they're going to get louder the more you
yeah,
strengthen your intuition, and to the point where you can channel a whole book.
yeah.
You can channel, you don't need to think about certain things. Like, we've been persuaded that we need to have these massive degrees with a lot of certifications to be
Yeah, no
capable
one
and
wants
to
to
be
do
of
that.
service.
Yeah,
That is part of the brainwashing. I'm not saying education is useless. On
mhm,
the contrary, education can be amazing.
yeah,
It's just that sometimes it limits us because it puts a stop on our intuition and focuses entirely on the intellect. And
yeah,
your intuition will take you places that your intellect cannot. And if your intuition is saying, don't trust that person, take your distance from that person, or if you feel mid conversation, a shift in you, your body can pick up on things that, your senses, they're picking up on the clues before your logical, rational mind. Trust that, take the distance, come back to self.
yeah. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And I remember in the early stages of my awakening, I didn't believe it, and then these things would happen and manifest out of nowhere, and it was such a shock and surprise. But now I ask my spirit team, where I've left my keys, and my keys will just
Yeah.
appear.
Mhm.
comes so natural, but it does take a lot of practice. And in the beginning, it's really hard to trust ourselves, like you said, around certain friend groups, certain relationships, and stuff. But once those people are cleared out the way, it's like crystal clear. It's
Mhm.
it's almost
Mhm.
uh, like people are speaking to you, and that's why I've had a lot of questions saying, "Oh, um, uh, I hear voices and whatnot," and I try to say to those people, you've got a gift. Um, you shouldn't try and numb it with,
Yeah.
obviously do what a doctor says, but you shouldn't try to numb those gifts with prescriptions and stuff like that. Try and listen to what you're saying,
Mhm.
because they're there. It's just that our senses filter these energies out, and it's about using our other senses to try and connect to them and to help us.
I agree. There is definitely the label psychosis is used very generously in
Yeah.
the psychology department, and I've seen some charities that help with mental health also writing these social media posts. Are you struggling with psychosis?
Mm,
They have zero clues about spirituality and they are ignoring the
yeah.
spiritual aspect of being alive.
Yeah.
And yet they call themselves mental health support workers or, charity workers.
Yeah.
As until we could, until the end of this separation, there is going to be inner turmoil because mental
Yeah.
health and spirituality come hand in hand.
It is.
And there are so many battles that we go through that affect our mental health that are spiritual battles.
Yeah.
And so many are emotional battles.
Hmm.
Imagine you've been friends with people for 5 years, 10 years, and they're not even your friends. Your body already knows that.
Yeah.
It's your mind that's lying to you. Your mind is,
Yeah.
no, they are my
Gotta
friends. Like
catch
we've
up.
been, you're
Yeah.
trying to find excuses and reasons to stay with these people because logically you're like, but we've been friends for 10 years. We've been
Yeah.
building this. We've been sharing so many memories. But you have already picked up on the clues where they've ignored you, where they have, mocked you, judged you. And it was
Mhm.
quite shocking to me when I started awakening and kind of unlocking my gifts to hear the cackle of some.
Yeah. Yeah. To see it with open eyes, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So your body's healing from a lot.
Yeah. So we've got to give ourselves grace and patience
Absolutely.
in this process. Okay, so coming to the end now. Now that you've completed your book and you've gone through your own healing process, how do you see your future unfolding? Uh, past the spiritual awakening, past all of the struggles, and do you feel like you've swapped your destiny in a positive way, and you've switched timelines? What's the other side to destiny swapping and coming out of it?
There have been many emotions going through this process because I think we say, "Oh, I went through my spiritual awakening." That usually
Mm,
lasts 3, 4, 5 years. Sometimes it can be even longer of
yeah,
you recollecting pieces, of you healing certain
over and
emotions.
over again. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
you go through phases when it's super hard on you, activations, purging. You go through periods when it's calmed down, and then you're gonna meet more people that trigger you to allow you to go to the next phase. And then you're gonna meet people that make you feel safe.
Mm,
And I think this is the part that most people don't talk about is when you meet people that make you feel safe,
yeah.
that's when you're gonna collapse because your body finally feels safe to
Yeah.
cry, to get that release out of you.
Hmm.
So it's a non-stop journey. Like once you've awakened, you understand what you're capable of,
Yeah.
and you're capable of everything. Literally, whatever you set your mind, you can do it. Like you have untapped, unlimitless potential. You just need to
Mhm.
tap into it and then send directions to your own mind. Like a little bit like Chat GPT. You're Chat GPT.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
That's,
setting the
that's what I
instructions.
said in my last life. Literally.
So yeah, I did allude to this being the first kind of dragon-led book, and it's not at its core a dragon book. It was more to do with like there is a second edition that's a dragon-led journey with dragon-led exercises.
Yeah.
But I've grounded about 10 ideas, and they arrived like boom, 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 like one after the other one evening, the same
Yeah.
way that my business structure arrived in the same afternoon.
Yeah.
I want to help people go through their spiritual healing with more validation and with more ease, and give them the resources for them to build their own businesses, their own services, so that they can
Yeah.
be of service through their own authentic expression.
Hmm.
And I want to guide leaders, entrepreneurs who are ready to shift their business models to bring more of their higher self. Because
Yeah.
there are many capable men and women who are already in business, they already have established businesses or they're building ones, but they're still following them with a very strict mindset that's
Yeah.
maybe generationally passed on to them. Maybe some of them have trauma.
Yeah.
So they don't even know how to lead with their higher self. They're not connected. And when they connect, imagine that intellect, that heart, that intuition with their higher self, they can create the shifts in all the industries. So if
Mm.
I can support that through my understanding and my connection to spirituality, I'm not saying that everyone's going to have my connection or your connection, because I think we're meant to connect people
Yeah.
further, but I feel like we are the bridges. We are between the two worlds, and
Yeah.
that's where we're supposed to be. And some
Mhm.
people will never go to that depth. But
Yeah.
if I can channel books, if I can channel solutions, products, answers to people that need help, and help them realize they're not crazy, they're just going through transformations that
Yeah. Yeah.
might feel supernatural, mysterious, but that's just the
That's
way
what
that
it is.
life goes on when you're a spiritual being, when you acknowledge that you're a spiritual being. Then I would be in alignment with my purpose to be a light worker and a positive change maker.
Yeah. I would I love that. So whenever you get those wheels in motion, let me know, because I will be the first one to sign up. And that's something that is so important, and is something that's missing from going from these extremely logical ideas, and making a business, and helping other people in that spiritual way. And there are so many steps and so many things that we need to understand in that path, and it is really important to have a bridge during that journey. So I think that's great, and I think it's something that is extremely needed.
I think so too. And I think
Yeah.
many people don't know how to protect themselves while they're awakening.
Yeah.
They're vulnerable in ways that they haven't been vulnerable before, and they're looking for people that they can trust. And some of the people that you're going to attract on your path, they're going to come to test you,
Yeah.
like to research how far you are,
Hmm.
oral or steal ideas. Not everyone you meet after you ascend, after you awaken, is going to be your friend once again. So you
Yeah.
have to be mindful. Like, you're going to have the opportunity to collaborate with many people, just like we are collaborating right now because we trusted that path. But
Yeah.
you're also going to attract some flies, that
Mm.
those evil spirits, those monitoring spirits,
Yeah. Monitor.
part of the elevation, because you are gaining more attention, more. You're essentially saying to the system, I see what you're doing, but I'm gonna go my way and I'm gonna pave
Yeah.
my own way. So the system is gonna have to send you some resistance to try to block you or delay you. But ultimately, once you've made it past a certain point, you cannot be stopped. But
Yeah.
I'm curious, what was your intention when you went through your spiritual awakening and starting all of this channel? What was kind of the big purpose?
Me, I was going for a breakup, and as always, um, and it it was just sort of like the last step in a series of events that happened in my life, when as soon as I let people get close to me, they would shift. And that's why I'm so interested in this idea of destiny swapping, because uh, it happened in my job, it
Mm,
happened in my friendships, and it was happening in my relationships. And it sort of broke me down, and I was just so angry. And I just decided to express myself, and it was just about self-expression. I didn't think anyone would watch it. I didn't think it would catch on. Um, but I think if you go back to my earlier videos, they weren't very good, but people could feel that there was some sort of emotion behind it, and that's what people connected to. And I also noticed that whenever people would come into my life and do me wrong, that as they went out, their lives would sort of fall apart. And the opposite was also true. People who would come into my life with good intentions, their lives would elevate, and it would be very natural. And it was creating this channel and doing what I was doing. It was sort of like the first time that I saw that happen in real time, and it had a ripple effect. I'm also an artist, and I've got that side of my business, and that started blowing up by just by chance. And I got a better job, and all of these great things happened after this person was not very good to me, and it just sort of like flicked a light bulb in me, and I was like, okay, I've got something here. I've just got to keep going with it. And almost 2 years later, here we are. That's it. That's basically it.
You know, when you're going through those things, and I can kind of testify that I've been in a relationship for 5 years where, you know, by the end of it, I didn't want to share anything. I didn't want to write. I was depleted. I didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
I now understand the value of these relationships, because to me, they're
Yeah.
now like soul contracts. These
Yeah.
people were meant to push you to the edge. They were meant to get you angry because that's how you were going to get triggered to awaken. I was meant to get depleted so I can return back home to my, you know, these were things that were meant to happen because these were teachers in our life. And maybe this is a creative spin that I can put right now. There's enough distance, because at the time it did not feel like
it was not good.
kind and rewarding, but
no, definitely. I definitely encourage that, because people connect to stories really well, and you know,
and become the storyteller of your own life. Like you can change your story at any point. You can make sense of it through your own unique lens, and inspire people.
And it's so important that we have spaces like this. People who have alternative belief systems where we can just express ourselves safely without being judged by you know, people who are not on this journey, and who you know, misinterpret our intentions, and you know, all of that stuff. So that's another big reason for me creating this channel.
I agree. It's the curiosity. I think this is what's missing in conversations a little bit, where we show up and we have questions and we ask those questions, and there are more questions. And we're not even getting here to have the final answer. We just want to explore that. Maybe we can come up with something that we haven't thought of on our own. Let's get together and talk about it.
Exactly.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Where can my listeners find you?
Everywhere. That's my favorite part of this journey, as in my creative expansion outside of belonging to a company, but having my own company and kind of like working with one-to-one or like individual agreements, that I get to express myself more freely. So I'm on TikTok. This is where I do a lot of the channeled messages and a lot of tarot and oracle, mostly because it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to channel messages with the cards, and it does not tell you the future. It just gives you prompts for inner examination. It gives you something that brings you back home to yourself, where you can validate yourself. Just wanted to put that into our conversation. I'm on LinkedIn. There is a group that I created based on the vision that I had for the New Art Order, which is a little bit bold. But if you are on LinkedIn and you want to have more spiritual content, there are a lot of spiritual people, spiritual leaders, coaches, healers that are there. I am kind of organizing my own Discord group, but honestly, there's so much that's happening right now that probably more energy in it. But I genuinely want to create more events where we can get together and talk. So TikTok, YouTube, I'm everywhere. Wherever you are, you'll find me there.
I'll leave all of your details below, so that if people rewatching this live can get in touch with you.
Thanks, Shona.
No worries. Thank you so much. Thank you, TikTok. I've been watching you in the corner of my eye. Thanks for all of the likes and all of the support. If you've got any questions, go over to my YouTube and I will answer them to the best of my ability. If you found this helpful in any way, please like this video. It does so much to help my channel. Follow me on YouTube to get more sort of in-depth videos about these ideas, and follow me on TikTok as well if you just want to see me. TikTok is just where I post any thought that pops into my head. So if you want to sort of see that other side of me, definitely support me over there. Thank you so much for the love and the support and the great messages. And I'm sure we're going to have Stella back really soon to talk about something else, because she's got so much knowledge, and
I'm excited. Whatever you need, like this chat GPT here is ready to deliver answers.
Yes, same. I loved it. So we'll definitely do it again.
Thanks, Shauna. Okay. It was great. It was great to be part of a community that is open, that is welcoming, and you provide that space for people. So
I appreciate that.
Thank you for leading with such an open mind and heart, and showing people how to lead with courage. To go back to the keyword of our conversation, courage.
Definitely. And go and buy Stella's book. Make sure you go and buy it.
Yes. No one knows me.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I'm going to end it there. Okay. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.